Hi, everybody. Uh, Bonisila here for the Notes podcast. Um, so, last time we spoke a little bit um, about all the speculation around Messi. I didn't think it was power plays and whatnot. I really thought Messi was leaving Barcelona, and my guest didn't think that was the case, and so we had a pretty cool chat. If you wanted to check out that podcast from Friday, um, I had a guest on the pod, and we had some interesting thoughts shared on the pod, and so yeah, like basically it looks like it's really happening. Messi is going to leave Barcelona for sure. He spoke this morning and he was in tears and never wanted to leave the club. And all good things come to an end. I at the time of the news coming out, I don't know. I just for some reason I bought in real quick because guy's been there for over 20 years. Sometimes these things just have to come to an end, and he's given his life pretty much to that football club, and he's gotten a lot back. It's not like he was slaving away and he got nothing out of the deal. He got quite a lot. You know, he's one of the wealthiest men in the world. Period. So I'm not saying now he needs to. Um, I don't know, show gratitude or, like do something that's untoward or things that are not expected of people to do. Um, but I do think, he got a lot of good stuff, world fame and all that kind of stuff. Not that he really set out to do all of that, but many people recognize him today as the greatest player to ever live. So that can't hurt. Um, and It looks like he's going to go to PSG. So we'll see how that plays out. I think that extends his career if he doesn't get terrible kicks like Neymar tends to get in France. Neymar gets kicked around a lot, in France, and for quite some time actually. In his first 2 seasons there, for sure, he would get an injury leading up to the Champions League knockout stages, and for some reason he wouldn't be able to participate in the knockout stages of the Champions League. I hope that's not Messi's fate, and that Messi is able to stay fit and prolong his career maybe by 4 years, maybe even five, because PSG has too much arsenal for the rest of the people in that league. I know they didn't win last year, but it's usually PSG losing the league title rather than somebody else winning it. So if you think about that set up at PSG and what Messi can do for his international career as well as prolonging his club career, that can't be hurtful. Um, so we'll see how it all plays out, from now on. But it looks very very unlikely now, very very unlikely. Maybe 0.0001% that he plays for Barcelona in the next year or two. Um, Now it's football; anything can happen. We'll see until he has signed on the dotted line for PSG or whomever. Um, we can't know for sure what he will end up doing. I do think, though, that PSG are one of two to three clubs, maybe four if I'm being generous, who can afford Messi's wages. So with that said, I don't expect that you know he will go to many other clubs, and because of that, I think it's a done deal to PSG. If I'm being honest, like I'm just being cautious because things can happen with transfers. Um, So yeah, that's done, and we'll see. Maybe now Ligue 1 will be more of a pool in terms of TV revenues and all that kind of stuff. Maybe clubs in that league will get more money because the biggest guy in the world of football is moving there. We'll see how that affects things. Um, Going to England, Arsenal Football Club. My fucking goodness, this club, man. They were playing against Spurs today, and I paid for the game. I know it was for a good cause. Half of the money is going to charity, so that's fine. I was like, okay, I'll pay so that I can make comments that are based on watching the game. I was actually not going to even talk about the game because I wanted to do a preview podcast for the upcoming season today, but I I hadn't seen a game for quite a while. The Euros ended um, July 11th. It's almost a month since I had seen some meaningful football. I didn't keep a close eye on the football at the Olympics, and so I thought, okay, I'll pay for this. It's the last friendly game before the league starts for Arsenal on Friday and for everybody else next weekend anyway. So I just wanted to see where things were and how things were looking, and I won't go too deep into this game, but it was an infuriating game to watch. Arsenal did a lot of the good tippy tappy things that they do in their build up play, at least for the first half to like 60 minutes of the game. They played really well, but they didn't really threaten the Tottenham goal. So because of that, the game was within reach for Tottenham when they did wake up or when they did have a dangerous moment, and they had a couple. I tweeted at halftime that Tottenham had the best chances of that half, even though Arsenal had played the better football of the half. Arsenal were really, really doing well. I think Lokonga was finished the half with about he's a new signing from Anderlecht. He finished the half with about 96% pass rate. Successful completion of passes was 96%, and he completed close to 93% in the opposition half. So, of about half of that 33 passes that he made, 32, 33 passes. I'm not looking at the data right now, but I just I was impressed by him. I was impressed by Ben White. I was impressed by Emile Smith Rowe and Lacazette. So those four guys, I would say, did themselves justice, and they looked ready to go into a Premier League game on Friday. The rest were okay at best, and the rest of them, some of them were even terrible. I don't know what Aubameyang did in that game, besides beating Pierre-Emile Højbjerg on the left flank to make a cross that ended up in nothing. But yeah, like for the first 60 minutes, like most preseason games go, Arsenal played a good game until then, and then they needed to make changes. And once those changes started rolling in, Spurs were playing better by then, to be fair. But I do think, yeah, as the game went on, Tottenham became the better team, period. And so with that said, it was just like one of those things where you're wondering where is this project going? And I know it's very risky to think like that in a preseason game, but this is not an isolated game. This is a continuation of games now. They played against Chelsea last week, lost 2-1. Cheap goals being given away by Bayern, passing the ball, literally passing the ball to Tammy Abraham for Chelsea's winner. Today, the goal again, some very questionable decision making by some experienced players at the back. I know there was a little bit of like bing bong bouncy ball happening on the right flank. Pepe loses it. But I wouldn't even blame Pepe for that. But there were 2 to 3 players who could have covered after that. And I think that was for me, the what made the goal for Spurs. Pablo Mari, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. he decides to just disengage. He has the advantage. Ball is right there for him to either kick it all the way up to Rosette, where I'm from, whatever fucking row, just kick it off the touchline. He doesn't do that, and then El Neni is too busy ball watching, so the ball is goes in front of him, but there's a runner between him and Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney is facing the ball in that way, so El Neni is the one who can see all of this happen. Hyun Ming Son gets the ball from Tanganga, slots it in, like, with his left foot. Well taken shot, well taken goal, but I just don't know what the fuck was going on with that experienced defensive line. That I was so disappointed. Not just with the defending for the goal, but like seeing old dudes who have experience, who've been around the block, play some of the way these guys play, who play for Arsenal. I think now, yeah, there's a deeper culture problem there, and I don't want to blame the manager for this. I don't think he's created it, and to a degree, I sympathize with him because what can one do with a club that does so much to fuck itself over? They find ways to fuck themselves over, Arsenal. And this game was just another example of that. Like Chelsea, they donated a goal. This game, played well, but conceded the most obvious glaring chances, like from inside the penalty box area, were for Spurs. Dele Alli hit the post twice from about 4-6 yards. The second time was about, yeah, like, I mean, both from like within the 6 yard box area. Um, Son had a save, like a point blank save made by Leno, where Leno thought, we thought Leno was injured. In the first half, he was lying down there for a minute early on in the game, and we were like, oh wow, this is going to be 75 minutes of Runarsson. Luckily, Leno was not hurt, which brings me to a different point that I know they're looking for a reserve goalkeeper. So hopefully they will find one. However, they haven't found one yet. And who's to say they're going to find one before Friday? So there's a scenario where they're going into Friday with Runarsson or Athol Kwanko or Carl Hein as their backup goalkeeper for the first Premier League game of the season. And that's not something that any Arsenal fan is going to be happy about. I don't even think that the coach is going to be happy about that. But there we go. We're going to go into the Premier League game on Friday. Likely, right? Still a whole week of transfer dealings to happen. But even so, the reserve goalkeeper should have been a priority and it should be sorted out. I know Leno is fit right now and available, and that was not a big deal, thankfully. But I just know that things can happen. Things can happen, and not too long ago, that's how we found out about Emi Martinez and how good a goalkeeper he had become after being loaned, on and off for a period of about 8 to 9 years. So I just think Arsenal Football Club need to fucking sort things out really, really quickly. I don't know what it is that they're planning to do with the goalkeeper thing. Ramsdale, it does sound like a lot of money for a backup goalkeeper to pay 30 plus million pounds. Maybe they should just go to the West Brom guy and just pay for him and have him challenge Leno and Sam Johnston, I think is his name. They should maybe just get him rather than flipping having Runarsson or the youngster Athol Kwanko on the bench come Friday. So we'll see how it all goes, but I do think Arsenal need to fucking figure their shit out. I'm going to stop here for this segment just for a little bit, and then I'm going to start talking a little bit more about this game coming up, and and also just have a look at like some of the things that are worrying. I'm not going to talk about everything because there's so much to talk about, but just have a look at some of the things that are worrying and where the possibilities for good things to happen as well, maybe with the season coming up. All right, so we're back after this short little break. The So there were news, William. Before I go into what's coming next or Friday and look a little bit at the season. So William didn't make the match day squad today. Joe Willock didn't make the match day squad today, as did Rob Holding. And after the game, Arteta didn't speak of William. So maybe there's a move happening, or William is getting frustrated and maybe got angry at training or something. I don't know what might have happened there because William, for as long as I've heard about him or known of him as a football person, with the exception of the one time where he just went to Dubai in the middle of quarantine last year, he's normally a very well regarded guy and trains well, good work ethic, just a soldier, one of those soldiers who understands what he has, in terms of the privilege that football players have, especially those who don't come from a lot of wealth, and he seems to be one of those guys. But you know, the coach couldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole in the press conference today. Rob Holding, he spoke about Rob Holding's absence more with a little bit more clarity and conviction than he spoke about Joe Willock. He was a little bit vague in speaking about Willock, and I think part of that was, based on the the news that then followed a few hours after the game between Arsenal and Spurs finished. Willock didn't play today. Arteta says, "I'll tell you when I'm able to tell you." When asked about why Willock was absent from the squad, it then was basically trending that Arsenal and Newcastle had agreed a deal for Joe Willock, which was really pleasing for the kid and for his career. Um, I think Arsenal fans are split or divided on what this player is and what should be done with this player. I personally am on the camp of Arsenal fans who really, really like this player. I am not too sour grapes to see him leave because it helps the club at the moment. I don't know what the sell-on clause is. I know that there's one inserted in this game in this transfer. There's a sell-on clause, and it sounds like some people are saying there may even be a buyback clause. But I know there's a sell-on clause for sure, and the fee is reported to be um, 25 million, including add-ons. So it sounds like um, 22 million upfront, and then or in installments, but 22 million guaranteed, and then 3 more million pounds um, to be added to the fee based on whatever conditions being met. And, it could be number of games, could be staying in the Premier League and not getting relegated. I don't know what those conditions are, but it does sound like a fair deal. This is one of those kind of it will be Oxlade Chamberlain moments for me as an Arsenal fan, when a player that you like leaves before they've had before they even reach their prime or peak years. I do think it's okay. It's an okay move to have made like for Arsenal to have made. I know I'm not that they need my approval or anybody's approval. Clearly, they think it was an okay move to make because it looks like they're making it. But I I I like I like the fit for him at Newcastle if Brucey stays, especially, or if they have another coach who plays um, a style of football that suits him.
He's got runners there.
He's a runner. He's a worker. Uh, he will improve his defensive side of the game. Steve Bruce was a central defender himself. Likes focuses on team shape a lot. So he has a coach who believes in him there. If as long as Brucey doesn't get fired, and yeah, good luck to him. Good luck to him. Our fans will say what they will, one way or the other, just like fans of football clubs whenever players get sold. It's very hard to agree or to have everybody agree on the same thing. So, Joe Willock, I would have liked to have seen him have a chance, but it makes sense for him to leave. And I also think part of this, which is similar to the year Iwobi left, there were players like Mkhitaryan that you couldn't get money for, or you couldn't get, nobody wanted to move them, and because they were overpaid. And Arsenal offers these generous contracts that Arsene Wenger and I don't know who, Kazidis or David Dean, they started this very kind of like socialist structure of pay. I mean, it's not socialist because these guys get paid a lot of money, but what was interesting about the way Arsenal did their wage bill and their structure, the highest paid player didn't make too far away. There was not too much of a range from the highest paid player to the least paid player in comparison to some of the other big clubs. Some of the other big clubs will really give their big hitters big contracts, and then they'll have a lot of players who are on some of the lower contracts, 15, 25 £1,000 a week kind of contracts. At Arsenal, it was quite quick to climb up the ladder, which is why it's very difficult for Arsenal to let players go. Not that they don't want players to go, but it's very difficult for Arsenal to sell players because other clubs may not think that player is worth paying that kind of money, and so players tend to then not want to leave. I mean, who wants to leave and take a pay cut just as part of their day to day, moving from one place to another, changing jobs. In any other field, when you're changing jobs, unless you were fired and then maybe didn't work for a while, usually when you're leaving one place of employment to go work at another, they either match your current salary or improve upon it, right? So that's why it's been difficult for Arsenal to sell players, especially those who were there during the Wenger era. Um, now it's not all on Wenger. It's not just a Wenger thing because clearly these new guys are kind of prone to this kind of thinking or showing that they are not allergic to it because David Luiz, okay, that was a short-term contract, but Cedric and Willian are the kind of contracts I'm talking about. And now, I don't know because Cedric didn't even play today. I don't know if he was injured. Actually, he did play. Very, very late on, he played. But because I remember him fouling Ali. Actually, he was fouled by Ali, but the referee gave the foul to Dele Ali. Um, so players like that who don't give you a whole lot in the day to day, week to week, because you have other players that you like better than them in the same position they're in, and they're cheaper. Callum Chambers, cheaper than Cedric. Ainsley, cheaper than Cedric, and they're both English. So they don't take a foreign squad option there for another player to come in. Bayern probably costs a little bit more than Cedric, or much more, depending on what Cedric was was eventually offered, because he came um, for 5 million loan fee, and then once the loan ended, he was a free contract or free agent. So, long story long, I think Cedric and Willian, Pablo Mari starting to really, really peeve me off too after today, and having seen him a little bit this preseason, he's really starting to piss me off. I I think I'm not alone too in feeling this way about him. I really had a lot of hope for him as a defender who could fill in the gaps. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not convinced that he's better than Holding. For a while there, I thought he would be better than Holding, but I'm not so sure anymore. I think Rob Holding, he's not that great, but he might actually be better than Pablo Mari. Um, and I don't know if Chambers would actually play center back still, because it seems like every time he's been used, it's at. Oh my God! Excuse me. It's getting late. It's at right back, except for today. He did come on in the middle for when Ben White left the field, but most of the time since that injury, he hasn't played as a center back. So it's going to be interesting to see what Arteta is thinking there, or Edu, what they're thinking. There's still quite a bit of transfer market time left, so it's going to be interesting to see what other moves are made. I know that things are starting to happen because the season is starting, so people need to make decisions. But it does look like there's going to be a major trolley dash for all clubs come August 25th to August 31st, September 1st, kind of, um, because it's been really, really slow. So I don't know what kinds of deals people are going to be able to complete. It could be a lot of loans, or it could be loans with obligations, loans with option, that kind of deal, that kind of stuff, like with Guendouzi. Speaking of which, he's another player. Besides his attitude issues, he's another player. I think had we not had such a bloated squad, we might have felt a little bit more inclined to charm him to stay, or talk him into staying, or do a bit better with handling him. I don't know um, the ins and out of what happened, but it does look like it was a very quick road to point of no return for him. I don't know what he could have done to to make that decision happen so quickly. But Saliba maybe will tell you because he feels the same thing happened to him. So that's that. I am going to pause just really quickly um, to gather my thinking, get a little bit of water, and then I'm going to talk about Friday's game. Yeah, it didn't work out. So I'm recording my podcast.
Huh?
I'm recording my podcast, so I'm not worried about it tomorrow.
How did you do this?
In great bits and pieces, babe.
No, you did it in like